I think that headline put it succinctly. The Things Fall Apart Festival 2025 ended on a high. Now joining us in the studio include, of course, Afia TV's Head of News and Current Affairs, Mr. Alex Ogbodo, as well as Chairman Planning Committee Things Fall Apart Festival, Mr. James Eze. Thank you so much for joining the show. And big congratulations to you both, Planning Committee Chair and host.
I should be congratulating Umuofia. The way Chimamanda was telling you.
I know. How did you feel, Mr. Alex, sitting next to Chimamanda?
Well, you see, I had dreamt of this, and I have to say I also worked towards it, because it all boiled down to planning, and it's all thanks to him. Actually, the fact that Chimamanda came was actually because of him.
He engineered everything.
Yes, yeah. I didn't have to say this, but I'm saying it. But I mean, Chimamanda had to, thank him for actually making it possible for her to change what could have been just a reading from her book to a keynote address. Right. You know what it is for you to give a keynote, and you saw the kind of keynote it turned out to be. So,
all right, let's come back to you. How did you make it happen? I mean, and then you just had to save, I don't even know how many bests we have to count before we get to the last best for last. Because everything seemed to be a highlight, the visa to Umuofia. And at the end of it all, you now have Chimamanda headlining it. And then you get the whole ICC. How did you make it happen, Mr. Eze?
Well, Natalie, it really wasn't easy, but when you believe that there is something, there is value in an enterprise, in any project that you are pursuing, you don't keep anything in reserve. As for me, I had so many sleepless nights. Right. It took a long time to convince Chimamanda to come to Enugu, to start with, because it was happening at a time when she was doing a world book tour. In fact, she flew straight from Brazil into Nigeria, and she was tired. Her tour had started as far back as March, so you would expect that at some point she would want to take a break. Incidentally, it was the time we were planning this. And then also getting her to give a keynote address, it was a struggle because Chimamanda is a perfectionist. She doesn't want to do anything that will not resound. And that is the secret to her mistake. Whatever she does, she pours her heart and soul into it so that she leaves that mark of excellence that has stood her out through the years. So getting her to do a keynote wasn't easy. We had arguments, and she said she just wanted to just get to Enugu, read her books. And I said, how? How are you going to do that? The Igbo people are expecting you. Look at what's going on in our part of the world. And who will address these issues? Me and some of my friends, we feel that this is time to really play the role as leaders. At my age and the level of exposure that I have, my training in different places, my background, my learning as a scholar, as a writer, has predisposed me to seeing myself as a leader. I don't want to wait for anybody to point that out to me. So I just start making little efforts in my own corner to set the society right. And that was why I started telling Chimamanda, look, you have to talk to these issues. Things Fall Apart Festival gives us a foot on the door to address the big elephant.
That's right.
And that's what happened.
Let's come back to you now, Mr. Alex. You welcomed Chimamanda into the International Conference Center Enugu. We heard your voice reverberating through the hall. How did you feel the moment Chimamanda stepped into the ICC, knowing that the fate of the event, the energy of the event rested on your shoulders?
Well, I conquered the event with Odera. So, in fact, the whole thing started outside. I noticed, because I was inside, I noticed that we had almost half of the people outside waiting for Chimamanda. So when she arrived, there was a lot of commotion. but that commotion wasn't a bad commotion.
Rancor.
Yeah, it was absolute bedlam, if you like. So, but when she stepped in, you know, normally as the MC, when you speak through the sound system, you are supposed to hear yourself. But then the noise wouldn't let you hear yourself. So I had to raise it 2 notches. So because if you listened, you would see that I had to raise my pitch in order to be heard, because everybody wanted to be part of the moment. And again, if you're welcoming someone, you have to also announce the person. Apart from the whole, Gerard with his Ojan, the whole thing, you needed to also announce that Odelowa is here. Because this was different for her.
Odelowa, no, that's all. You said it like 100 times.
Yeah, she's been around the world, but coming home felt different. And she said it herself.
Okay, so let's come back to you, Mr. Eze. She gave a keynote address, which you've harped on. What salient elements of that address would you like Ndibo to take home?
There is no part of that address that, you know, does not carry the trademark of excellence that Chimamanda is known for. Are we going to talk about her emphasis on Igbo unity? Are we going to talk about, you know, her address, you know, of the ritual mother, especially the practice that has turned our young women cheap ingredients for money rituals? Are we going to talk about Asusu Igbo, the Igbo language, and why we should take pride, you know, in teaching our children the language, or the culture itself, the sacredness of human blood, the fact that Okonkwo, in spite of his service to Umuofia, was banished for 7 years for spilling the blood of a kinsman? That tells you how our people usually hitherto held, you know, the killing of one's brother or one's relative. So there are so many points. It goes on and on and on and on. And so, you know, sometimes Chimamanda's speech is like the elephant, so to speak, the figurative elephant. Somebody touches the ear and say, oh, the elephant is a fan. The other person touches the flank and says, oh, it's a tree trunk. You know, so there are so many aspects. You just take what speaks to you and run with it.
Okay, I want to get your insight, the dream, the vision that bettered this festival. How did it come about? Is it you saw it as a dream? Did you dream about it? You know, and also at the background, you and your committee on putting this together, bringing alive the legacy of Chinua Achebe and his spirit. Can you walk us through how that, or the advent, the inception, how did it come about? Is it a vision? Was it a dream? Did you wake up one day and like, I had a dream about this and I have to bring it to life?
Yeah, that's a very important question that you have asked, because every major initiative starts with an idea. So, Chimamanda has been my friend for years, and oftentimes we hold conversations, we talk things over. Sometimes we argue, like, you know, I used to be her sparring partner on the issue of feminism, you know, and all of that. Sometimes there will be no clear winner. I'm not saying I could face the renowned Odelowa in any argument, but you know, being friends, we can always talk about things. And she's human too. There are moments when she's not the Odelowa everybody knows. She just becomes ordinary human being like us, laughing, joking. So such moments we have shared in the past and discussed, you know, shown a lot of anxiety about the fate of our people and things that are happening in Igbo land. Then when I was announced as the chairman of the Things Fall Apart Day, I spoke with the Center for Memories and told them that Things Fall Apart is such a big heritage of our people that a day would not be sufficient to celebrate Things Fall Apart. And they said, what do you think we can do? I said, okay, let me go back. I'll come up with a concept, you know, paper on what we should do to actually turn this Things Fall Apart Day, which they had celebrated for 4 or 5 years, to a festival. And that was what I did. And when I must give the center, the credit for accepting all the ideas that were contained in my concept paper, which carried everything from setting up an immersive village to bringing Umuofia and all of that. But the crowning glory of the entire thing was who would deliver the keynote. And that was where I told them, look, for this festival to really ricochet, resound across the Igbo world and beyond, we have to get Chimamanda.
All right, let's come to you, Mr. Alex. You were the host, okay, and it was such a proud moment for Afia TV as well. What was your assessment as you moderated that week-long event, Sunday to Sunday?
I actually just moderated the grand finale.
The grand finale.
But behind the scenes,
Okay, let's say being a key part, and it did feel like you were moderating it all because your voice was loud. It was the Things Fall Apart week. Mr. Alex carried this on his shoulders. Okay, it was like his baby.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was your assessment of this event, this festival rather, and what areas do you think are crucial for improvement?
I think it provided a fresh angle for people who love art, who love literature, especially those who have been expecting something out of the normal routine they've had over the years. I mean, Things Fall Apart Day is always celebrated. James here knows that. But this year took another turn. It became a week-long festival. It became a festival, not just a day celebration. So when it became a festival, it meant that you have to prepare a variety of things people will witness when they arrive at Umuofia. Mind you, I was at Umuofia and I had some delicacies. I still have the videos. I don't want to share them.
Your visa, your Umuofia visa has been revoked.
Yeah, but you see, but
have you been deported?
The Umuofia village is still there for people who want to go and see it. But
is it going to be there?
Yeah,
is it going to be there for the long haul?
It's there for a while.
Yeah, there for a while. So now, what I loved was that every day they had an elaborate program. They had an elaborate program that afforded people an opportunity to experience Umuofia. There was a reenactment of the Umuofia village. You go there, you even see the mission, the church that the white men built. You go through the whole area. And if you also want to take a tour of the Center for Memories itself, it's just there by the hall. And it provided the ambience. And they had people who represented the different things that Umuofia had. You see the warriors who are guarding the community. In fact, you meet them as you move in. So you just have that ambience. I kept telling Mr. James that if you look at what has happened, lots of young people showing up every day.
Yes.
So, I mean, you couldn't have made it possible for young people to show up on a daily basis if they were not fascinated by what they saw or what they were seeing.
That's right. That so what areas do you think, beyond what you enjoyed at Umuofia, need improvement?
Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement. I think the rain, maybe it's a good thing. It rained for 7 days in Umuofia. And you see, for someone who is into agriculture, if you're into agriculture, it's not a bad thing for you to have 7 days rain on the planting season. So, but maybe there could be a kind of cover. But those things are, they are the small details. There are many other things that can be incorporated into the festival next year. I mean, that is absolutely possible.
Let's talk about the Center for Memories that came together, of course, put this in place. How much support do you think the Center for Memories is receiving? Do you think Center for Memories is truly being seen as what it is? Some kind of diary of the richness of our culture?
Okay, two things. The first thing is, Center for Memories is the only place Igbo can go to have a reference to their memories. Just aptly to its name. That's the only, if you go there, in fact, I did a short video, I'll probably share it on my social media after this interview. You go there, you see memorabilia of the war, history, you see our great sons and daughters, what they were able to accomplish. I'm fascinated about things like this. Maybe that's why I anchor Eastern Eye. But, at the end of the day, I don't know why Center for Memories is not getting the attention of the Southeast governments. I don't know what it is. Or maybe there's something the center hasn't quite done to get their attention. Because really, fundraising comes in different ways. You have to reach out. I don't know how much of reaching out that has happened, but I just think that there's something that needs. I've volunteered my service to the center, not just this year. In the years past, I've always offered my services to the center at no charge. So I just feel that a lot of people from this part of the world, of this part of Nigeria, should also volunteer their services to the center. It's not about saying the Center for Memory should do this, should do that. Do it how? It's not like there's an oil refinery where they export oil.
Alex, always injecting humor. Injecting humor.
I mean, they don't have an oil refinery there where they export oil and get money. It will come from the donations from Igbo sons and daughters, both at home and in diaspora.
The next question will be why? Why should any government think of supporting the Center for Memories?
Because that's the only thing, tangibly so, that we can say if you want to talk about Igbo, that's the place you go. Because the various governments don't have that.
What's the alternative?
At this point, there's none. It's Center for Memories.
So let's come back to you now, Mr. Isaac. In terms of this festival, the week-long festival that Eastern Eye carried on his shoulders, right? How much involvement did the Southeast governors have in the execution, in the entire festival as a whole? How much involvement did the government have?
I would have been tempted to say zero, but for the fact that the government of Enugu State actually provided security for Odelowa and provided, the logistics of her movement and her lodging, in Enugu. Apart from that, no other southeastern state government thought, our initiative was worth even taking a look at.
Were they approached?
Yes.
How were they approached?
We wrote formal letters. The Center for Memories wrote letters, and approached, sent letters to the governor, letters to the commission, the ministries of culture and tourism.
Was the Ministry of Culture and Tourism in Enugu State approached?
The Commissioner for Culture and Tourism in Enugu State was not really approached. There was a courtesy call on her, and she even participated in the reading of Things Fall Apart, marathon, marathon reading.
For the promotion of the
festival.
Was she in attendance?
She didn't show up.
Did she commit to showing up?
Well, I wouldn't know. But naturally, you would have expected that, being aware that something like this, like the festival was taking place in her domain, and having been approached by the center itself, and having taken part in the reading marathon.
Are you saying that for the 7 days of the Things Fall Apart Festival 2025, there was no representative from the Ministry of Culture and Tourism in Enugu State?
Well, maybe the center would be in a better position to answer
But you're the planning committee chair.
But I couldn't have been there every day of the week. I only remember that my dear friend and brother, Lawrence Ani, who is the executive secretary for tourism.
Center for Arts and Culture. Council for Arts and
Culture in Enugu State.
He was also in attendance. On the grand finale.
And then there was also Michael Bwekwe, and
special advisor to the governor on agriculture.
So the thing is, for me, the initiative we had, the celebration of the festival in Enugu, which was a pan-Igbo initiative and an international one. You knew about the number of international media houses that were in attendance. Some Igbo people flew in from America, from Canada, from Germany, from Lagos, from Abuja. Even non-Igbos, like my friend James Atta, flew in from Lagos to attend this festival. So give me one reason why anybody with any cultural consciousness, whether you are in government or out of it, would hear about an event of this magnitude and signification to our cultural, our collective existence as a people, judging by the keynote address delivered by Odelowa, and you decide not to come, or you wait until somebody sends an invite.
Was the Ministry of Culture and Tourism represented at the grand finale?
I think the Center for Memories will be in a better position.
How was the ICC secured?
I think typically.
I really want some clarity on this. The ICC, the big auditorium, how was it secured?
It was paid for by the Center for Memories, because admirably, the government of Anambra State does not give out its facility for free.
Government of Anambra State.
Sorry, Enugu State. Sorry, I withdraw that.
I was wondering if we packaged the ICC
the government of Enugu State has a policy which we must all clap for, because that is what has damaged government businesses across Nigeria and even elsewhere, giving out facilities for free. So the policy is that nobody gets facilities that the government operates for free. You must pay for it. And the Center for Memories duly paid for it. And we are happy with that. And we're happy with the government for the role it played, the conducive environment we had. If the government were not active to its own duties, perhaps there would have been stories of either, people who attended the event, experiencing one sad thing or the other. But for 7 days of steady traffic from people, by people from different parts of Nigeria and beyond, there was no incident.
How can you confirm that the Ministry of Culture and Tourism received your invitation?
Natalie, I am not the Center for Memories.
But you are the planning committee chair.
Yes, and I cannot confirm whether the Ministry for Culture and Tourism received the letter or not, because that is the affair of the Center for Memories. I have no records. So for me to actually begin to point at people who failed and didn't, I would have records. I'll say, okay, we delivered this letter to you, but you did not respond. And it is early days yet. The event just took place the other day. We haven't even had a meeting to do a post-mortem on the festival. Until the facts are there, I would not trade blame.
I'm sorry. Would you prefer, what would you be concerned about right now with regards partnership in the forthcoming festival? Definitely it's not going to be the one-off, right? Are there plans to have this festival yet next year again?
Yes, we will do a postmortem, and then decide the direction to go. But going by the reaction the festival has received and the wide approval and the fact that, everyone felt that we had done the right thing, it would be almost sad for this effort not to continue.
So do you think that come next year, that these state governors or governments would get themselves involved in the next festival? Maybe they were waiting to see how this was going to be a success, then they could, bring themselves in.
Yes, our prayer is that, as Nelson Mandela said, it always looks impossible until it is done. So we have, if anyone had any doubts about, whether this festival was worth their time, it has been established that this is actually an idea whose time has come, as Victor Hugo puts it. So our expectation is that we will start early next year. In fact, we start this year and then begin to reach out to people. There are Igbo people. We're not just talking about the government alone. Where the Igbo diaspora, the feedback we got from the Igbo diaspora is overwhelming. So whether the government supports it or not, there are Igbo people overseas who can easily donate funds to get us going. Some of them were waiting to see how this first initiative would go.
If you feel it.
That's an understatement.
Okay.
Beyond fulfilled. All right, now let's end on
over
this.
The moon.
Over the moon, I'm sure. Let's end on this note. All right. Let's not break this table.
You were almost intent on doing that.
No, I'm not intent on doing anything. I'm just seeking clarity, okay? I was going to ask you the cost of securing the ICC, but I'll leave that to the Center for Memories. Mr. Alex, you conducted or you had an exclusive interview with Odeluwa herself, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
That's right.
And I understand that you're keeping us waiting, Mr. Alex. You are keeping us waiting. You have recorded this interview, but you're keeping this waiting.
It's Monday.
Walk us through this interview. Tell us what we should expect in your exclusive interview with Chimamanda Adichie, premiering on Monday, and the exact time as well.
Odeluwa responded to salient issues, especially concerning Ndigbo. She also talked about, things that concern her writings, what informed some of the choices she's made over the years, right from purple hibiscus and all that. I mean, just every other detail will be in the interview. 7 p.m. on Monday, 14th July, 2025.
An Eastern Eye exclusive.
An Eastern Eye exclusive. The flyer is out.
Show us how the Eastern Eye looks when it's looking at the region. It just blinks.
It just blinks.
Okay.
Just like how the CCTV blinks at you across the Enugu road.
What is it about that triangle behind you, on your logo, the blinking eye that is causing
I don't see that. It's behind me.
Making tongues wag. It's like it has a lot of significance.
No, I don't see it. It's behind me.
But it's blinking. It's just.
I just know that there's a blinking eye, but every other thing, they are not visible to me.
Okay, on that cherry note, while we are trying to let's just leave it for 7 p.m. on Monday.
7 p.m.
Eastern
Monday,
Eye.
Eastern Eye.
An exclusive interview with Afia TV, head of news and current affairs, as well as anchor of the Eastern Eye, with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. One last thing.
We forgot to sing just one song from Things Fall Apart.
Please go ahead. Can we get it closer?
All right.
I mean, this is going to be exciting. I hope you sang that song in front of her.
Well, I sang it that day.
At the grand finale.
Go and watch the video.
Oh, go and watch the video. Let's go watch the video. Okay, thank you.
Afia TV, we'll have it on our YouTube. It's there.
All right. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you guys for coming around here.